Today is December 9th, and we sat down with Adam Ottavino to discuss all that there was to discuss. It was a good time. Let's do it. Let's talk Yanks.
Talkin Yanks with old Jomboy Jake. Recaps galore and weekly awards. Stat lines, steaming hot takes. Your Yankees news with these two fine dudes. It's time for Talkin Yanks. Talkin Yanks with old Jomboy Jake. Talkin Yanks with old Jomboy Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talkin Yanks. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jimmy. Sitting next to me is Jake. In the corner is Bug Dude. We just wrapped up a conversation with Adam Ottavino, relief pitcher for the New York Yankees. It's like an hour long, so we'll keep the intro short. Jake, what do you want to tell the people about the conversation they're about to hear?
James, David Mendelson. It was great, man. Recurring guest, Adam Ottavino, second appearance on Talkin Yanks. He's, I felt bad because when we were originally talking about the season, Otto had one bad day. We talked about that a little bit. But then we were grooving, man, and he gives open answers. Ian Anderson. He gives open answers, and he talks like someone that grew up in New York, gets media, gets being an actual Yankees and sports fan. So it was really cool, man. Otto's the dude.
Yeah, at the end of the conversation, we dive into, I'm like, so you grew up a Yankees fan? You listen to the fan? He's like, yeah, I'm in it. I'm like, we talked about like how Yankees fans can be very harsh and boo, and got his opinion on that, as well as his usage over this season. The rumors about maybe him being traded this offseason.
Ignored a call from Zach Britton.
And then I ignored another call. I think Chad Green called. I think Chad Green called the second time to say,
Chad Green doesn't have a cell phone.
Maybe it was Canely. Someone called to let him know, like, hey, dude, Zach's trying to get in touch with you. Yeah. All right. Well, here's the interview. It's brought to you by Jomboy Media's Winter Meeting One-Day Extravaganza. Tomorrow, Thursday, December 10th, we will be live for 8 hours straight from noon to 8 p.m. with guests each hour as we go. Michael K., Jeff Passan.
Should we leak another one right now?
Buster Only,
Short King.
and a lot of others. So It'll be on the main YouTube channel, Jomboy Media. Go check it out. Thank you very much. Here is Adam Ottavino.
Baseball.
We are joined by published photographer Adam Ottavino. Adam, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Happy to be here, guys.
That's just content creator.
Yeah.
Yankees #1 source for inside access this season.
Well, nobody else was allowed inside at all, so
You had a great head start. You took advantage of it.
yeah. Still had to get everything cleared by the team though, so just didn't know what would happen there.
Yeah. For those that are unaware, there's an ESPN article all about it. Adam had his camera. Your photographer.
Camera, they call them.
Well, I was mixing up my words. A lot of the pictures that people have seen, like Cole on the mound in a T-shirt in the empty Yankee Stadium, or Tanaka getting rubbed down before a start, all came from your camera. And I remember seeing a lot of those pictures until I read the article. I was like, oh, that was all you shared that originally? So that's pretty cool. That Cole shot, that's like, was porn for Yankees fans at the time.
Yeah, no, I knew that. That was exactly what I knew it would be. So, it just had to happen. I just, being a Yankee fan myself as a kid, I kind of know what the people want. And, obviously with social media and everything, you could just drop something like that. So like, I didn't know if he was okay with it. So I was taking pictures and stuff, and like, I just started sending them to his phone. And then he was like, hey, is it okay if I like put this on the internet? And I was like, all right, good. Like, I was just making sure it was okay before I dropped it out there. So I did that.
You said, no, I'm going to put it on there.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, go ahead. And then I beat him to the punch. I was like,
oh, you're going to post that? Done.
Yeah.
Is there a secret album, like at the end of The Hangover when they're like, we're going to look at these pictures once and that's it? Are you in possession of that? Was that shared with the team and how do I get it?
Yeah, there's a folder on my computer right now that I'm using that has probably 80 more pictures that I submitted to for them to review. And I don't know what got picked, but some of them didn't. And then there's some ones that are not even in the folder as well, but I don't know. They're almost like in a time capsule at this point. So you could hack my computer.
Okay.
And that's about the only way.
A lot of it in the article, you were like, there's the picture of Chapman getting stretched out or something before the game, and they're wearing masks. And, the caption and your interview is like, yeah, it's bizarre. It's like a truly bizarre time. And we're maybe 9 months out from that. And it's not, I looked at that and I didn't think twice about the masks. But when you took it was at the very beginning. Yeah. And it must have been like, it was crazy to me how like, oh yeah, that was so foreign and now it's so normal.
Yeah.
And you guys did a whole year kind of entrenched in that world. I mean, you have the pictures of checking in at the car and then the daily tests and all of that. When the season was over, were you kind of happy to just like get away from that entire process? How frustrating or normal did it become?
I think it was nice to get away, I guess, from the bubble situation or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, it just became too normal. Like a lot of the pictures I thought when I was taking them, like, wow, people are not going to believe this picture. But then like now I watch a show and if they don't have a mask on in the show, I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're in a store, So that just shows you how quickly we've all become comfortable with it, at least some of us. And so for me, like to answer your question, like I was just used to it by the end.
What's from all the photos, I know you could do the ones that are released or whatever. I mean, the Higgy Kratz one with the beers on the floor, that's all time. I mean, anything with Tanaka you knew was going to be good. What's your favorite? It could be from the unreleased too, but like if you had to look at one picture right now, what's your favorite?
Or if you just had one player that you were allowed to paparazzi them, who's your favorite guy to follow around?
Clint Frazier, probably. He's just he cracks me up. So, he's always kind of doing his own thing. So I like to try to see what that thing is and quiz him on it and, get inside his head a little bit. And we have some funny photos that didn't make the cut, but he's somebody that I definitely try to, I try to scope out what he's doing because he's always trying to be, himself. And so I appreciate that. And I don't know about favorite photos. Like I actually don't know if I got that one photo I really wanted that had anything to do with coronavirus, but there was one night where we had a really long rain delay. It was like pouring rain. I don't remember who we were playing, but I went up to the upper deck during the rain delay and I took a lot of photos of the stadium, with rain pouring down, dripping off of the third deck and a bunch of crazy stuff like that you would never be able to get normally. And so that experience was just kind of cool. I felt like I was Batman or something, doing something that you're not supposed to be doing at night, but it's very fulfilling at the same time. So that was kind of more fun than anything else.
Sneaking around. What kind of camera are you using? I think it said a Canon 5.
I used to have a Canon. I have a Leica M240 is what I took all the photos with this year. That and my phone, and I have a new Leica camera as well that only shoots black and white. But yeah, they're just easier to use because they're a little smaller than the Canon. The Canon's pretty big. It's hard to travel with it, and I just wanted something that could be a little more sneaky because that's kind of what I'm doing is sneaky stuff.
Didi had 2 spring trainings ago whenever he had the big ass lenses. He was on the field taking photos and stuff. Did you guys used to cut it up about cameras and lenses and styles?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Didi was on a lot of stuff. He would he was bringing whole Pelican giant trunks of equipment on the road. He had a lot of different interests other than just photography. We definitely talked a little bit about that stuff, but he was playing keyboard 10 minutes before the game, in the traveling secretary's office and tattooing himself.
Ben Tulowitz.
Yeah, Benny's office and tattooing himself on the road, just like doing different kind of stuff. Like all his, like, we just won the game. He's got all the animations of all the players and stuff. So he was on a lot of different things. I don't know how he had all the time for all that, but photography was just like one part of it. He was like one of the most interesting people I've ever played with, for sure.
There was a period with Didi where it almost went too far. It was like, okay, he's got the languages, he's doing photos, and then it's like, oh, he's also a doctor on the weekends, and it's like, okay, Didi. Like,
he taught himself piano while he was recovering from Tommy John.
It's like, all right,
come on, man,
cut the tape, man.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if he was a doctor, like just
taught
himself, read some books.
I have 2 suggestions for next season.
Okay.
1, Kodachrome. Just get your hands on some Kodachrome because I like Kodachrome pictures from the 60s.
So that's just a personal preference.
Just a personal preference.
Okay.
And I don't even think they make Kodachrome anymore. So you'd have to go through some back channels or something. 1 suggestion. 2, recreating old photos from past Yankees with current Yankees in the clubhouse.
Okay. Yeah, we could do
like,
that.
Like who? What's the famous picture? It's like Yogi pouring beer onto Roger Maris's head as Mickey Mantle rubs his hair or something like that. Maybe it's Billy Martin's head.
Yeah.
Get some recreations.
I have a lot of photos like that in the training room of like guys getting worked on throughout, Yankee history. There's like Babe Ruth laying there getting some sort of like ointment put on his hamstrings that probably doesn't exist anymore. And
it's hot dog grease.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like weird pictures like that. They're always cool to look at.
Flavor. I've got one last picture question. We could talk a little baseball. We're a picture podcast now. Who was the guy that you had to tell, like, I've got enough pictures of you? Like, Zach Britton, you can, just because I got the camera, we don't need any more of you today, Zach.
I think if I wanted to photograph Voit all day, I think he would have no problem with that.
Okay.
Luke appreciates, the hype train for sure. I mean, we had a lot of Luke Voit t-shirts going around this year in the locker room, probably like 1 per week. Like he was killing it. But I mean, I just feel like he was definitely loving it. So he wouldn't have complained too much.
Okay. That's what I was looking for.
I thought it was going to be Waiter. Waiter seems like he likes getting his picture taken.
You're not shy.
Well, I could go down a whole hour on Waiter, but that's my guy.
I get the Wade treatment myself this year. What this baseball season? I mean, you're looking back now, and I feel like we did this a little bit with you last year, and you were kind of on the cutting edge of baseball earlier with the RPM, the revolution, and everything. What, looking back, because strikeouts were up, walks were down, the hits were up a little bit. Is it small sample size? Because it is small sample size. Like, as you've started looking back at the season, where are you at with it?
My season personally?
Personally.
Yeah, I mean, I got hit harder. I think that's the biggest thing. My hard hit rate went up a lot. Like, I like to look at the analytics stuff, like just not so much like in the moment, like I'm doing a lot of feeling the opponent out and all that, but overall, like looking at when you look back on things, where can you clean up some areas? I mean, the first thing that jumps off the page is just like that I got hit harder this year, much more hard contact. So, you try to get in the weeds about why that's the case, because I did have a decent amount of strikeouts and I did have, a few less walks in the previous year. So normally that would be a pretty good indicator that you're throwing all right. But I was getting hit hard. So, we've looked at a lot of things of why that could have been and, how to adjust with that going forward. And that's the plan I'm trying to implement now. And that's kind of the game of baseball, like how you evolve. But in terms of like the results of the season, like, I mean, I had one game where I gave up 6 runs. I got nobody out. So you can't come back from that. So I try not to even look at that ERA. I just try to look at everything else.
We just butter knifed that one right out of the system, and it lands at a 2.98 ERA instead of a 5 something. So
done.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take it away. It happened, obviously. It is what it is. I've had a few of those in my career, like probably one every 3 years, where it's just like, well,
shit.
This game was just, man, what do you say about that, really? So
we spoke with Grichuk from the Blue Jays. Like the next day, he came on and we chatted with him because he's a little fuck that always crushes the Yankees. So we just wanted to tell him, like, calm down.
He had the peacock feathers out a little bit.
Please stop.
And we were like, all right.
This.
Yeah.
He said because it was a whole thing. Did they have signs? Did they know? Because they were like, it was you Was it Chad or it was someone
Yeah,
else
he
out of
pitched
the
before me, and then he got in trouble. I came in and didn't get him out of trouble.
Yeah, and then there was whenever this happens now, it's do they have the signs where blah blah. Gerchik says no.
Are you tipping?
Does that go through your mind? Tipping,
Of course.
signs, guessing?
Yeah,
Do you
because
believe him?
if you look at that game in particular, like me and Chad Green got I think one swing and miss in our outing, and that's not typical. Like we both have high swing and miss rates, so we have people on the staff for the Yankees that are big into like checking you, making sure that you're not tipping and this and that. And I mean, it was just one of those games where like if I threw a good pitch, they hit a foul ball. And if I threw a bad pitch, like they either murdered it or they took it because it was a ball. So like their approach was like so perfect that it does make you think in the game, like something's up here. But we couldn't find anything. And so you can't just like necessarily blame that always right away, but it definitely pops in your mind. Like initially, like this is an outlier. Why did this happen?
Yeah, and I think Chad, well, I don't know if this is confirmed, but we were told that there was a period where Chad did find out he was tipping a little and changed, and you can see in his game logs like a quick, like a little blip and then a change. I don't know if that was the same error or not. So, it's common for you guys, right?
Well, yeah, for Greeny, it was actually like a few weeks prior, he was tipping against, I think, the Mets. He gave up 3 home runs in 1 inning.
Oh, it was the Nationals.
Somebody got him for 3 homers in an inning, like out of nowhere. And when he tips, he tends to do the same thing always. So he, of course, right away, they knew he was doing it again, So that's frustrating because, like, he's so good. And I thought he was on the way to, like, being the best pitcher in the league last year, the way he started off initially. And then to have a 3-homer game, in a short season, it's just tough. Like, it's tough psychologically. You're just like, you don't know what to do with it because normally you have so many games to make up for that, and you just didn't have as much time.
Yeah.
After that happens, do you have like a rainy day remedy? Like, are you cold shower, 6 Miller High Lifes and move on, or what do you do after that?
So like after any time you give up a run, like you have to like know how to process it properly. And I think, the speed at which you do that is kind of separates the elite guys and the not elite guys, especially in the bullpen. And I've gotten a lot better at it over the years. But I feel like when you have one where it's complete disaster, like it's hard. This year, I mean, immediately I'm like wanting to talk to the coaches, like, what do you got? Like, you don't want to be that guy who's like talking about yourself all the time, but you're like, what do you guys got? Like, what just happened? You're trying to process it. And, I give a lot of credit to my teammates. They're always there. We're always there for each other. I felt like that night in Buffalo, I was able to kick it with Gardy for a while and talk about different stuff and just get past it, a lot quicker than if I went in my room and like called my wife and like thought about the game.
Yeah.
So that we were able to shorten that, feedback loop real quick. And then by the next afternoon, like the mindset was already like, well, my numbers are effed, like they're done, but like we have things to play for here. So let's go, and that's kind of the process that you go through, but I'm not a big drinker or anything like that, but I'm definitely a big, like, let's investigate the game and like, look at all the minutia until you're blue in the face and then try to get past it, after that.
I think that's why we're different athletes. I went the 6 Miller High Lifes. He tried to figure it out. Okay. I'll put that in my notes.
I mean, after that game, you faced Toronto because you guys had so many outings against them. I think you faced them 4 more times after that outing, and you fared well. I mean, I think you went 3 shutout, like really clean innings. Is that like an extra fist pump for you, or are you past it, forgotten about it? It's just another game, or you're like, good. Like,
no, I mean, the truth is it sticks with you. You know who hit you. You know what happened. You think that they think they have you now. So you want another crack at them. I mean, I think I pitched in 2 blowouts after that, like to end the game. And last thing you want to do is like go out there and make it interesting and have to get Chapman up or whatever. Like, I know what that's like being the closer. So you want to just nail it down and have a little extra chip because it's those guys that just, whacked me around. And so definitely try to bear down. You can't shy away from it. You're going to face them again. This is a similar thing that I had to learn when I was with the Rockies. Like, I used to get beat up by the Dodgers specifically. And this one, I had like the previous worst game of my career was against the Dodgers. And of course, the next week, who are we playing? It's the Dodgers. So going to have to face them again. And I just remember like going and having a clean inning against them, I was like proud of myself for that. It was like a big hurdle, like just mentally, like the games aren't related. You know, go out there and do your thing, and more times than not, you're going to have success.
When the season started, with how weird the season was, and the season at the end, like you got used a lot in 2019, early, late, like in the postseason, all you guys got used like every single game. So we thought, you know, at the start of the season that maybe they were limiting your usage to build you up slowly and then pounce in the postseason. Is there any conversation or structure about like how we're going to use you and how not? Because it seemed like, I mean, obviously the Yankees didn't use you as much as they're paying to use you. And besides that one Boston game, you were basically giving results. So we were wondering, like, is there any like, hey, we're going to start slow, we're going to build you up because we want you. There's any shorter season? Is there any communication there? Are you wondering the same stuff?
Well, I think, you know, when I came to the team, you know, going back to 19, you know, it was communicated to me pretty early that like I was going to be mostly used against the righties just because, you know, our other relievers are really strong versus lefties. At the time, Canely is like unhittable versus lefties. Chad Green's good. We had Betances, Britton, and Chapman. So obviously you see that right there. And I'm like, sure, no problem. And so that's kind of how it played out in the first year. I pitched mostly against righties. Me and Tommy flip-flopped a lot of innings based on who was coming up. Obviously, they let me pitch against some lefties, but I felt like, you know, that was just kind of my role, and it was working, and we were rolling. And then, you know, coming into this year, it was probably going to be more of the same. Tommy blows out first game. So I'm thinking, okay, like I'm going to get more opportunities here to like, you know, do what I've always done on other teams, which is just like pitch a regular inning. And that never really like manifested itself this year. And like before I knew it, like it was over. So, you know, I think going forward, obviously it's not a situation I prefer, but I think like you have to try to fit in with the context of the team and understand like what each team's trying to do to win. I do think this last year, you know, unfortunately, I just never got into a great rhythm the way that I wanted to. And then, you know, I wasn't able to, you know, turn the tide enough by the time the playoffs rolled around, make it undeniable, as I always say. And it just kind of played out the way it did.
It was wild, man. I mean, from the fan perspective, because going back to 2019, there was kind of there were so many injuries that year that there was that build up kind of last week of the season. It's like, all right, we'll give these guys one more shot to be healthy. And you felt that this year again, but it did happen a lot around the league only because it was a 60-game season. Booney hinted toward it at the start of the year. It was like, you know, if you get one injury this year, like that's kind of it. Like that's kind of all you're allowed. So I mean, were you guys feeling that at the same time? Let's talk about the high stuff. I mean, you guys heading into the playoffs, like the ship got rolling again, and then you're rolling through Cleveland. You guys had to be feeling pretty good.
Well, I mean, I think our identity as a team, especially coming off of 19, is like we're just going to win. Like we're going to plow forward regardless of who's in the lineup, and we're just going to win. And then this year definitely shook that at times. Like we lost, I think, like 9 or 10 in a row or something. It was like definitely ugly, ugliest I had seen it with this team. But then we won 10 in a row right after.
Yeah.
So, you know, the tendency when you're in the clubhouse is to just look around at the guys and be like, I know these guys. Like, you know, we got a good team. Like, let's roll. And when we won the first game in Cleveland, I think we banged Bieber around the yard. We were feeling good right away. Like, we felt like the switch had flipped, like, to be honest. I remember that night with the boys just, like, talking and being like, I love the way this game played out, you know. Yeah. And then the next, you know, it took all that anxiety off. You lose that first game, maybe you start to think like, all right, maybe we aren't the team we think we are. That sort of psychology comes into it. That's all real stuff. So we won that game big. Second game was obviously a crazy one. So, but we won that one too. So now you're thinking, let's go. Like, if we're going to have to play the Rays, let's do it right now. So definitely we were optimistic going into that series, no doubt.
Man, and the first Rays win.
Yeah, exactly. Built on that one too. So, yeah.
Jesus. Still mad at game 2. I won't ask you your thoughts. You don't have to put yourself on the record there, but I mean, still mad about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing about game 2. Like, obviously, if it worked, like, it would have, you know, it
genius
comes down to if it works. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But, like, it's just weird because, like, in the moment, you have a lot of mixed feelings about what's happening. Like, you're like, you're thinking like, what do we have to do to win? At the same time, I'm thinking about my guy Jay Happ, who like pitched great this year and deserved to have a start, but I guess I'm always a proponent of like the managers deserve to make the calls. You know what I mean? That's their job. So like, it's tough. You feel both ways. Like you want something for your guys and you want to just win the game, and it didn't work. And it felt like a bad idea after the fact, but that's because we lost the game, And also selfishly, I'm thinking to myself, Zach Britton's calling me. I'm just gonna
You can answer it.
Join in.
You can answer it. He's a friend.
Probably talking to me about union stuff.
Not as fun.
And then like selfishly, I'm thinking, how am I going to get in a baseball game, to be honest? So if I'm seeing the plan, I'm like, hey, I have a chance. If they put righties in off the bench, they might actually put me in this game. And I did pitch in that game. That was the only game I pitched in. So I didn't want it to happen, but I wanted it to happen. You know what I mean? Like it didn't work out.
Another team did it. Another team kind of went opener to starting pitcher, and
Dodgers.
They got a ton of love for it. So it was and then Cash had that aggressive end of the year interview that was like, Haps pitched out of the bullpen.
Who pitched against us that game? Glasnow?
No.
Game 2.
Was it? It was Glasnow, yeah.
Yeah.
Morton was game 3.
He pitched good. Like, always like if we rate that game, then it wouldn't even matter, but it's just, that's baseball, It looked crazy.
Was it Morton or is it Glasnow?
Glasnow.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not that hot, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, okay. All right. We're on the same page.
He's
there.
too tall.
We're on the same page there. Yeah, that's what I tell girls. That guy's too tall.
I'll tell you though, he's definitely a guy that like when he's doing stuff in the outfield, like his throwing or his running, like other people definitely watch that.
You tune in.
Take notice.
Like, look at that athlete over there.
That's fair.
Do you talk to Garrett Cole? I know you guys were throwing together in the front yard beforehand. Do you ever walk up to him and be like, hey, how about G-Man Choi? What's up with that?
Oh, yeah. Please. I live to give Garrett crap. Like, live So any opportunity I can to, stick whatever knife I can in there and see how he reacts, I do. And he's aware of the G-Man Choi situation, but he just feels like, because this is Garrett, like, I just need more chances at him,
Yeah.
So he's right. But I mean, of course, we all do. I mean, that's the nature of, how it is as teammates.
I tried to find, I was going to make a whole video on it and I kind of scrapped it because it was a lot of work, but I tried to find any other recent like Hall of Fame pitcher and see if there was someone who had as high of an OPS as G-Man Choi does in over 25 plate appearances. I couldn't find any.
Really?
He crushes Cole, and it's off every pitch.
So
like
dumb.
Cole's attacked him like 20 different ways, and he still just gets it done.
Hate it.
Nuts.
Yeah, the Rays have a few guys that like they clearly the matchup works for them. Brasso off Chapman, whatever. So
yeah,
it seems to be they have the right piece plugged in, or at least they did this year.
Man, how was that with the Rays? I mean, everyone's building it up like animosity, and the Rays have some quotes, and Kevin Cash has quotes, and we're all eating into it. Is there actual like within the Yankees with you guys after those games and the Chapman stuff and the Brasso stuff? Do you think there was really like fuck these guys or bad blood, so to speak?
No, I think maybe they had more bad blood with us than we did with them. I mean, I think like. There's some obvious, like when you play a team a lot, they become a thorn in your side. They do some things you don't like. It gets annoying, but I don't think there's anything like that they've done outwardly that's that bad. I mean, they pitched DJ inside, because what else are you going to do? And unfortunately, some of their guys throw 98 and have no real idea where it's going. So that's the sketchy part of it all. But they're not trying to hit him. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to get him out. So I don't think we have any animosity in that way towards them. We just want to beat them. Like I think part of the Yankee thought too is like I kind of don't like the style of play that they have. So a lot of us don't really love it, and we want to bring death to it. Like we just want to be the Yankees and whoop their ass. But I mean they keep beating us. So this year especially, like you got to tip your cap to it.
Yeah, especially like Randy.
You were getting pretty frustrated with the Rays brand of baseball towards the end of the World Series because it's not.
I think it's bad for the growth of baseball and bringing in casual fans. I do. It's like very old manny, but I do think like no 12-year-old wants to watch what the Rays are doing. They don't have a recipe to build superstars or, but Randy did. But I guess like it's just not exciting.
Nuts. Yeah.
All the different pitchers
the
and
pitchers, blah,
and
blah, blah.
taking Snell out in that, like it's just not. And it could work. I'm not saying it doesn't work or it's good.
I just think
it's not bringing in new fans.
It's like a player, like I actually think you want there to be more correlation between your payroll and winning, though. So it's frustrating sometimes when they're kind of like short circuit the system and make everybody think that they can just do that. And in reality, like it's a lot harder to do. Like they make it look easy, but it's a lot harder to do than it looks. And so,
and it's also like the opener stuff with Yanni Chirinos and Yarbrough is a friend of the program. Like that was, a little strategic for on the field, and it was a lot of strategic for arbitration because game started is a stat that gets used in arbitration. So when you really look at the inside baseball stuff of how the Rays just like cut costs and take advantage of that, it's gross. Like this sucks.
Yeah, and like I know like one thing that we did that bothered some of the relief pitchers this year was like, Cash talking about his guys out there, and I'm like, yeah, but like how many of your guys are hurt? Like we were kind of frustrated, like they'll just abuse anybody and send them to the next team. And the year before, like Ryan Stanek had like a mazillion games and then got traded at the deadline for Anderson. And it was like,
same with Pagan.
Like, we're done with you. Same with Pagan, And that's the type of stuff, like, it works for them. I give them credit for finding a way to win, but I just think we're looking at it like, man, I feel bad for some of those players that get abused like that and then kind of just sent somewhere else and they're hurt or whatever.
Have you scheduled a dinner in maybe mid to late December with the LeMahius at a nice restaurant and being like, if you time it right, they might pick up that tab?
Yeah. Well, we went out to eat with them a few times while they're still here, and now they're not here anymore. Now they're in Michigan or wherever, Arizona, something like that. So they'll come back around this way, and we'll definitely get together. But DJ's not somebody that I don't try to get in his head too much about this stuff.
So no prodding texts or anything like that?
No, as much as I want to. I got like the initial rundown of like what the interest level was and all that. But after that, I mean, I know what it's like to go through it. So, and I just know DJ, like, just let him be. He'll be fine.
Some free agents like being the wined and dined stuff, and like they put your name on the scoreboard with the uniform on. DJ doesn't seem like the kind of guy that wants to like be wined and dined by 20 different teams. Am I wrong there? Do you think he's like reveling in this process?
No, I think you're right. He doesn't want to be wined and dined. Like that stuff, the substance of it doesn't matter. But I like, the dressing of the whole, package that you're offering him doesn't necessarily matter. But I do think that in his career, like he has felt slighted at times, and he wants people to see in him what we all see in him, and what he knows himself to be. And so I think he's a little guarded because his last time through free agency didn't go the way he thought it would. And, even getting traded to the Rockies long time ago for the Cubs as a throw-in player. I mean, there's certain things that people don't realize motivate this guy. And, that's always in the back of his mind.
So Adam Ottavino, photographer, baseball player, future GM, Chris Young just gets named GM. Let's say all of the money was even. What would be your
pitch?
Get it over the top to DJ? Would you just send him like a hockey stick or something? Like what would your play be?
Yeah, they send Cole a bottle of wine.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, if it involves hockey, you're on the right track. But you got to convince the wife, always. Jordan LeMahieu is the one you gotta convince. She's the one who's gonna push it one way or the other for sure.
Okay. That's a secret. You should go a little subliminal, like maybe send him a picture of you in a pinstripe suit and be like, "Do you like this suit?"
Oh, believe me, he wants to come back. I mean, I think everybody knows he's had a great time with the guys. Like he wants to be on the Yanks, like no doubt. But I just think we'll see what happens. I mean, nothing's happened yet with hardly anybody of that stature. So I'm waiting for it, just like you guys are.
your name keeps popping up in not even real rumors, just like people that are trying to fill pages. Like maybe the Yankees try to move Ottavino, and you had a quote. I read it this morning. I don't know where you're like, I don't want to go anywhere. Like is this on your mind at all? Like it's not. None of the reports are anything even close to real. It's really just people guessing.
It's been bad article season since the end of baseball.
I was at the I talked to Ken Davidoff. He asked me about it because I was at the Players Alliance thing in Brooklyn last week. So he was there. He asked me about it. I don't read any of that stuff, so I don't know about any rumors or not rumors. But like I know how things work. Like obviously, some fans are probably thinking, "Oh, like he makes this much money, we could get rid of him and use that money for something else." Like I get that, but individually, like I have no control over it. I've never been traded before. Like when I came to the Yankees, that was like a big lifelong dream fulfilled for me. And like, it's not done yet in my mind. Like this season was bullshit anyway. Like I just want to play a full season with the guys and win the whole thing and see where that takes me after that. So it's not really in my mind. Like if it did happen, it would happen. It would be what it is. Like that's life. You got to live with it. But no part of me doesn't want to be on the team. That's for sure.
Don't worry. The articles are all nonsense. It's been the worst month for baseball, like articles ever. We have like GMs and owners coming out and being like, nope, not true with Steve Cohen on the Mets, which is awesome. It's nice to see that going. As a lifelong Yankee fan, are you scared that the Mets may be a real deal contender now with a new owner?
I don't know about scared, but like I do think that they have a chance to be the real deal. He said all the right stuff, and I know about Met fans like intimately. Like I know the Met thing can gain a lot of momentum in this town, you know, and I don't know that it's ever been sustained, but there's always been those peaks. It'll be interesting to see if they start, you know, being able to sustain things a little longer, how everybody reacts. I also kind of like it because it kind of pushes us a little bit in a weird way. And
it's a bit of a nudge to Hal and Cash, like, hey, wake up, they're coming.
Yeah. And all that stuff that I say about like, you know, the way I look at things as a player, like I also know that it's important for stuff to be important to the fans. Like to me as a Yankee fan growing up, of course I cared if the Mets or how the Mets were doing because it impacted my bragging rights, you know, with my buddies and that sort of thing. So I want that all to be, I want the New York baseball to be the center always and to be relevant because that's the universe I grew up in and just like want to project out there all the time.
I can't even imagine, like that's one of the first things when I moved to New York. I was like, if there was a Subway series in this town, like I can't fathom that process because even this weekend you could feel almost a New York Giants energy because they were in first place and they had a big game coming up. Like if both of those teams are firing, like sign me up and then like let's whoop their ass or whatever. But God, I mean, what was that? 2001? 2000. So you were, I mean, was that prime shit talking time for you?
Yeah, of course. I think I was 14 or 15. I mean, in New York and in Brooklyn, there's a lot of Met fans. My parents were. My mom was a Met fan growing up. So a lot of Met fans, you know, and I think at that time the dynamic was interesting because the Yankees had just won 3 in a row. Well, had won 2 in a row. This was going to be the third one. So I felt more of that pressure, like we have to win this or it's going to be embarrassing. Then, you know, like it was almost a relief when they won the third championship, which sucks. You want it to be joy, but that's the feeling I felt because I didn't want my Met friends were like, you know, really wanting to stick it to us, you know. So that was prime, of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot.
I mean, we lived in Connecticut then, and I remember in 2003, like the hallways, like such Northeast baseball nerds, like there was like signs in the hallways and like some of our buddies painted their face red for the Red Sox. And,
man, that was
like, it was like, I think I don't know if baseball's that way for young kids anymore. I bet it's not. I hope it can get there again. But I think if I told anyone that now, they'd be like, what?
That was,
you guys were losers. And maybe I agree. Maybe we were losers.
For me, 2003 and 2004, because I was in Boston at the time in college. Those 2 seasons, those playoffs, Yankees played the Red Sox, obviously. That is the most intense fandom I've ever experienced of baseball around me. I was in a room full of Red Sox fans when Boone hit his home run. So
Woohoo.
I always tell Boone about that. But, you know, people were upset. Like, it shook Red Sox fans, you know.
Yeah.
And then simultaneously the next year, I lived with 2 Red Sox fans while the Yankees were up 3-0 and then blew that series. So, which I knew was happening after the second game. Like, it just felt like it was happening after game 5. Like, okay, they're going to lose the next 2 somehow. I just know it now. And that hurt. But, like, I also saw the way that Boston erupted after they won. And that was a similar year time frame of the game in Chicago where Bartman game. They were all like that. Baseball was huge at that moment.
Yeah.
In America, huge. And I don't know if it's ever been that way since. But that was like, it was intense for sure.
Yeah. We'll get back there maybe. Did you grow up listening to like Mike and the Mad Dog? Did you listen to the Fan?
Yeah.
Schmoozer and all that?
Yeah, the Schmooze, yeah.
Do you have any teammates who, because not every, I think majority of professional baseball players didn't grow up like how you're talking about, like a day in, day out diehard fan.
Yeah.
A lot of them are too busy playing or just, you know.
Yeah.
They find a guy they like.
And that's what I always loved what Cece says about like, no, I'm a crazy Raiders fan, so I understand the fan mindset, so I never get too upset when people are screaming and yelling about us.
I think it's good.
Do you have any teammates that like are the opposite? They're like, man, these people are crazy, or man, Mike, the radio is crazy here, and you're like, hey, that's what it is.
For sure. I think there's. I mean, I play with guys that to play on the Yankees would be their nightmare. You know, they just like want no part of that. They want to exist anonymously and just kind of carry on through their career. And then you have guys like LeMahieu who like adopt listening to the Fan, like. Because he's in New York and, you know, he just like loves all the talk about things. You know what I mean? Where, you know, I have to turn it off now, but like growing up when I was a kid, obviously that was just a culture. Like Steve Summers at night, you know, Mike and the Mad Dog during the day. Like my dad would listen to it. He would say like, you know, what do you think of these guys? You know, that sort of stuff. Getting the paper, always going right to the back, like flipping through it, looking at the standings, all the upcoming stuff. I don't think a lot of people definitely grew up that way. So I feel uniquely connected to it. And I try to explain sometimes like Yankee stuff to other guys who are just curious, like, why is it this way? And I'm like, well, you have to go back to this year. And like, this is, so I end up being kind of that local historian a little bit of the New York baseball scene. Definitely.
That's awesome. Well, it's awesome that it's appreciated. And sometimes it sucks. Like as someone who is part of it and grew up in it, I mean, there's a lot of times where we are like, God, Yankee fans are brutal sometimes. Like this is a nightmare. But I also appreciate it at the same time because it's different than anywhere else. So it's, even I have like tug of wars with how intense and dumb it can be at times.
I mean, listen, like it's passion. I think we need passion in baseball. Like I support the fans' rights to boo their team, to cheer for their team, to be fanatical about their team. You know, the way Tommy Kahnle is about the Eagles. Like, I support that. Do I want to be that way? No, but I support it. And I think it's important for the game that, like, you're allowed to be a little hysterical sometimes about it. You know, as a player, you have to totally go into a different mindset, but that's just part of it.
Yeah. Like when Stanton came over in 2018, he had like a couple games with 5 straight strikeouts. And the stadium was just pouring booze down on him. And I'm torn because I'd never stand there and boo a player. That's just not who I am. But also there's people that paid a lot of money to go see Stanton play just for that day, and they're booing that day's results. And I kind of think that's fair in a way. But I also understand why it would suck if you're Stanton and be like,
oh my gosh,
shut the hell up,
guys. It's tough to deal with it. I mean, I got booed off the mound a few times in my career. It's tough to deal with it. You feel that rejection, but like at the same time, I 1000% support the fans' right to do that. Like, I think it's just like so important that we separate what's entertaining, you know, and make sure that that's still cared for. As opposed to just like become robots, you know, the way the players have to be on the field. We got to keep that separate from like the experience of the fans, in my opinion.
Did you have a favorite section or seat as a kid at the old Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, we used to go, me and my old man and my mom, we used to go on, I think it was called like a family night. It was like every Thursday we would sit in the upper deck. The tickets were cheaper and you couldn't drink alcohol in the section.
Oh, okay. So no hoodlums.
Well, no, I mean, there still was. I mean, it was great. I mean, honestly, but like just sitting in the upper deck always to me was special. Even when I got to sit lower on later in my life, which I did a lot more, I just like being in the upper deck. The game looks different from up there. It looks so special. And,
it's like you're watching a painting.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like a ball goes in the air and like, you're watching the outfielders run and you're trying to judge, like, do they have a chance at this? And like you see that at the same time, you see the base runner running and all the infielders kind of shifting to their cutoff positions. And I don't know, it's a great way to watch the game. And you're not caught up in the minutia of every pitch. Was it a ball? Was it a strike? How close was that to the corner? And I don't know. I love watching it from that perspective.
It's pretty cool, man.
I like the right field box seats. I'd just sit there and I'd stare at the bleacher creatures with my mouth open like a little kid. And my dad, he knew I wouldn't really be watching the game. I'd just be taking in like the chants and the kicking people out and the fights. I just people watched the bleacher creatures as a little kid. That's all I did.
Yeah, the box seats suck and all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I loved it. Guys would get kicked out of the bleachers and then they would re-enter into the right field box seats because they couldn't get – because it was separate exit and entrance, and then they'd come into our section and yell, "I got kicked out!" It's like a whole party over there. It was awesome.
It's the crazies, man.
Yeah,
it's the crazies.
Do you still have your lab in New York?
No. I could get it back, but it seems like they might let a few of us throw at the stadium when we need to. So I haven't been. I've been doing it at the house. Like I've been able to set up like a semi lab here, but I'm
trying to strike out Plouffe and Blitzball, so I was going to see if I could come, just get those Rapsodos, figure out my release point.
Yeah, well, like I got rid of the lab because it didn't make much sense anymore if I was going to be able to use the stadium, which I did last offseason.
That's
true. Just why spend money? And then this year, of course, now it's like, I should have had it the whole time. But
did they ask you for help on how to? The Yankees started using all the Rapsodo cameras. They set up everything before live ABs and stuff.
Yeah, they don't need my help. They have plenty of really smart people. They have a lot of manpower. They know how to do all the technical side better than I ever did. But initially, like when I signed, they did come to the lab, like some of the analysts, and like talk to me about like implementation. Like, so how do you actually like use this stuff in real life to get better? And so I talked about a little bit like that, and obviously the game has accelerated even since that point. Now it's just kind of normal for everybody to be using this stuff. But I wish I still had it because it was a lot of fun.
As always, if you need any Altuve or Alejandro Kirk stand-ins, we are here.
Alejandro Kirk, guy rakes.
Dude, I mean, don't get me emotional because, I mean, seeing a guy in that build doing baseball is part of, like, we're talking about the beauty of watching a game from the upper deck and you're not in every pitch, but the beauty and the motion. Like, the fact that he is built like a mini
like
tank
you with
engine,
a couple pillows.
like me after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And he can be a good young catcher.
You've got nowhere to throw him. He's got no strike zone. and he murders everything. So what are you supposed to do?
I would ask you.
We were trying to figure it out on the fly. We were like, we don't know him. Like, how do we get him out? He's raking. What do we do?
He's so short, so fat. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
came from A-ball. We were like, oh, this guy's never played against A-ball. Cool, not cool.
And it's so funny. The scouting reports on him were like, I don't know. He's been really good, but we just don't see people built like that.
The scouting reports of him were like, sometimes some come and they break the mold. We don't know.
That's how Altuve was too. People didn't think that would work, and it just kept working.
Him, Petey,
Hunter Pence.
Yeah. Weird. Did he retire officially?
I think he officially retired.
He did.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Congrats, Hunter.
Yeah.
What's going on at the Ottavino home this offseason? Are you're putting in the dad hours? Are we catching up on shows? What are we doing?
I'd say both of those. I mean, my life is, I'm just locked in on my baseball stuff and then my dad stuff. Got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, so it's been an interesting year. I've been spending a lot more time with them than I probably ever have before, and it's been great. And it's just cool to, kind of be a dad, do dad stuff. But I mean, other than that, yeah, I mean, we watched some shows. I was big on Queen's Gambit, and we watched The Undoing, that type of stuff. So, but really,
and a lot of
really
Blippi.
Being a homebody. A lot of what?
They got you watching Blippi, Coco Melon?
No. My younger one is hooked on Moana at the moment, and my older one is like watching old Magic School Bus stuff and like,
awesome.
Yeah, so
don't
I try
let her
to
start
point
the
her.
Blippi stuff.
I have a little more influence with the 5-year-old, so I try to point her, in the educational directions.
They rebranded Magic School Bus.
Yeah.
But she's still called this Mrs. Fraz or whatever his name is, but
Frizzle.
It's not Frizzle.
Yeah.
But it's like Mrs. Frizzle's niece, but just call her Mrs. Frizzle. It's a very super bad or Beer Fest.
Beer Fest.
Like he died, but just call me his landfill.
Yeah.
Why did you even change the name? This is
I
very
don't know.
weird.
I don't know. So yeah, just that stuff. Just laying low, watching shows, playing a little FIFA. That's about it.
Okay.
Oof, nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for chatting with us, man. We appreciate it. We're itching for Yankee stuff as much as anyone else. So hopefully we get some good news and some DJ news.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe we'll see you at the stadium. We'll just come
Or
come yell
hopefully
at
in
you when you
Tampa.
park.
I mean,
or in Tampa.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like
see.
they're gonna cut that short. That's just my gut feeling. Is spring training is gonna be a casualty.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not profitable, and what did we do it in? We did 3 weeks this year in the summer.
Yeah, but there was a lot of injuries.
Yeah, no, not great. But I maybe 4 weeks. Instead, what do we usually do? 7 down there.
If they can't have fans, it'll really change how they do the entire thing. But I think we're going to get a full season.
I hope so.
With fans, because otherwise it'll be bleak outlook on a lot of stuff, and the other sports are doing it. So I think they're going to say not optional to not have fans. We just need to figure out how we can do it. And they did it in the World Series. It happened. So
NBA's coming back.
I think we'll have a full season, but maybe spring training will get got. That will suck.
I hope so, because it's just weird. I mean, to play 60 games, that has like repercussions like for years going forward with like pitchers and different things and how people are evaluated and all that. So I just think the 162 is like what you are expecting. So, that's what you work for. So I really hope that we have that.
Would you be fine if they dropped it from 162 to like 100 with expanded playoffs?
No, not really. No, for me, I'm like a big value of the regular season type guy. I mean,
me too.
I understand expanded playoffs. I understand more revenue, whatever. I understand. I just don't I'm not like huge on the way the NBA is doing it or hockey either. I feel like it devalues the regular season. And,
I agree, but they want to get more than 50% of teams into the playoffs because that's what every other league has. So that's what we've heard MLB wants to do, which I don't like at all. If they do expanded playoffs, then you got to shorten the season because, I mean, even the 60-game season didn't mean entirely that much when more than half the league got a chance.
I agree. I just think, baseball is like a different type of fandom. You're kind of in it for 6 months. You're checking in, even if you're not watching the games, check the box score. Find out. You kind of feel connected to the team over the long haul, and I just feel like that's just so important, like how you do through the long haul. That's like what all the other players in history had to go through. I don't want it to be different, in that way. So that would be disappointing to me if they shorten the season. Plus, like in my job, of course, there's selfish reasons too. Like in my job, like a big part of your value is like being able to pitch in a crap load of games and provide that type of like reliability. So if you start shortening things, it's going to really – the whole pitching staff model will get totally shifted in one way or the other, and then everybody have to adapt.
Yep.
You talk like a baseball fan.
Yeah, baseball fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Existing baseball
No,
fan.
I do like it.
Yeah.
It is what
Do you need us to do anything on the internet streets? Do you want us to start any rumors?
No, I don't really. No, I mean, no. Like I said, I mean, I listen to you guys sometimes, and I watch Plouffe's show. When he has the guys on, because I think it's I like to know what people are thinking, but I don't really like consume much of the normal baseball stuff, articles anymore.
It's fine.
We do a decent job sometimes. That's our tagline.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just like that you guys actually like the sport, so that's the thing.
That's a big thing.
That's a big thing.
That's a big thing right now.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, man. We really appreciate it. We'll keep in touch and hopefully hang out again. Maybe see each other in person sometime soon.
All right, sounds good.
Baseball.
And there he was, Mr. Adam Ottavino. Mr. Ottavino, Mr. Adam Ottavino, Mr. Adam Ottavino, don't you quit.
Mr. Ottavino.
That's the end of the episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Winter meetings, Thursday.
December 10th.
Live
Tune
on the
in.
YouTube.
Go Yanks. Tell them, Grams.
Go Yankees.